Planet Coaster 2 was just recently announced, and from the latest gameplay trailer, it looks incredible. The game looks like an improvement over the first game in every single way, including features like the updated blueprint system, the inclusion of pools and slides, the ability to fully theme coaster trains and flat rides, the incredible new pathing system, and so much more. But what else could Frontier add? Well, let's take a look. Now, I want to quickly start off by going over some coaster types I would love to see included, whether at launch or added later in updates/DLC. I will be saying the coaster types only, but in the bottom right corner I will include 5 coasters of that type if you want to take a look at the different types of elements or attributes each model has or would possibly have. I'll also avoid confirmed or coaster types that were already included in Planco 1, but there will be some exceptions to that rule. RMC Raptor, Aero Mine Train, Launch Vekoma Flyer, Vekoma Modern Looper, Vekoma Suspended Thrill Coaster, Vekoma Tilt Coaster, Modern Intamin Multi-Launch, Intamin Straddle Coaster, Intamin Family Coaster, Mach Extreme Spinner, Mach Powered Coaster, Mach Ride Striker, Premier Skyrocket, B&M Family Invert, B&M Family Launch, Gerstlauer Bobsled, Gerstlauer Family Coaster, Chance Rides Hyper GTX. With that out the way, I want to truly start off this video by talking about the coaster builder and other general gameplay mechanics. First, I'm going to focus on what I want from the coaster builder. The Planco 1 coaster builder was one of my favorite parts of the entire game. It was both easy to learn and use while not being too simple to the point of hurting your ability to design unique and interesting layouts. But there were a few things I would love to see improved or implemented in the sequel. For one, my biggest gripe with the first game was the fact that some elements and abilities were locked behind certain types of rides. Now this makes sense in some cases, like not being able to do a vertical lift hill on a wooden coaster. My wish for this is to allow players to do all the basic elements on every coaster. Just make it a lot less strict on what you can and can't do. If I wanted to add a launch on a wooden coaster, then let me do that. I want to be able to add a launch on a boomerang, so I can make a super cool swing launch coaster similar to the Flash coming to Six Flags Great Adventure. This would make building cool and unique coasters even better and would instantly make the game a huge improvement over the original. The other side of that coin is allowing the preset elements to be used on all coasters, within reason of course. The devs have already confirmed that drop tracks as well as switch tracks are going to be in the game, but my biggest worry is that they're only going to be available to be used on 1 or 2 of the coaster models, which would really suck. This design philosophy was the biggest thing that held the original game back, because it meant there were only certain coasters you could use if you wanted to have elements like a top hat or drop track. Of course, this makes sense for certain elements, such as the holding brake only being available on dive coasters, but elements like launches and swing/subtle modes would be really amazing to have on all the coasters. My next wish is for more unique and creative elements and options. What I mean by this is that in the modern coaster world, coasters have so many new and crazy elements and sequences that I would love to make in game. A great example of this is the switch track and swing launch sequence on rides like Pantheon and Toutatis. I would love to have the ability to add a swing launch onto my launch coasters, whether using a high-speed switch track mid-ride, or at the start of a layout similar to systems like Top Thrill 2 or even Icebreaker. Another major element I would love to have is a tilt track, like what is seen on Circuit Breaker coming to Codaland. These are some of the coolest and most visually stunning elements in the world, and the ability to add one onto these coasters in a game would be amazing, especially mixed with the new scenery and theming options. One last option I would love is functional transfers or storage tracks. The ability to transfer trains on and off the track based on how busy your park is would be such a cool option and bring that little bit more realism to the management side of the game. Finally, in the coaster builder is the option to run either a full train or just a back car on a coaster train backwards as an upcharge experience for your park guests. I feel like this would be an awesome way to bring a bit more money after building a coaster and would allow you to add that little extra thrill for those guests that want a wilder ride. This isn't even unrealistic either, since we've seen this same thing happen on rides like DC Rival Hypercoaster, which runs with a backward row. And by golly, if the Australians can do it, so can we. Also, if we really want to get crazy, maybe we could have a spinning back car like Enzo at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Just a thought. Moving into general gameplay mechanics, and the first one I want to talk about is parades. It's no surprise that the majority of large theme parks, whether they are Six Flags or Disney, have parades that celebrate holidays or big events. The ability to design and path out parades in-game would be massive, especially if you could schedule them and guests will slowly begin to line up around the path of the parade as the start time grows closer. The ability to select different mascots, staff, floats, and musicians to walk alongside or follow the path in a certain order would be super cool, especially if you could group them together so you have like a section of the parade dedicated to Chief Beef. A good side effect of the parades is the days you schedule them, your park will naturally be more crowded, since people will have to come and watch the parade, and the overall happiness will be higher, since they have it to look forward to at the end of their day. This is a huge one for me, and it's actually super simple. I want freaking railroad crossings. It's so simple. How do you have a train ride and not have a way for it to cross over the path without having to awkwardly raise the track? I'm sorry if I sound annoying, but this is the most baffling part of the original game. I have never been to a park in real life that has the type of train featured in the original game that doesn't have at least one railroad crossing. So the fact that it was completely missing in the first game pisses me off so much. It's not like it's hard to add. When a track intersects a path, make the path conform to the rails, and then add barriers on both sides. Of course, don't allow people to put the tracks through plazas or queue lines, but there is no excuse not to have them available when crossing normal paths. On the same note, I would love to have more types of transportation rides. Planko 1 really only had 3 types of transportation rides: the train, the large Disney-esque monorail, and an Omnimover style ride. As much as I love the look of the train and monorail, they are incredibly inconvenient to add into a park because of how big and out of place they look. More so the monorail than the train. I would love to have a few smaller options to use, such as those single-person pedal cars, those small family monorails, and a few more. This would really help with transportation within certain sections of parks, and not overload the park with massive trains or monorails. Finally, I want to touch on water rides. Currently, rides like Rapids and Long Flubes are some of the most frustrating rides in the game to build, for a single reason: the shaping on the top of the lift, start of the drop, and exit of the drop. For some reason, Frontier included this ugly and awkward hump at the top of the lift and leading into the drop, which is absolutely horrible looking off-ride, and even worse looking on-ride. The worst of them is the fact that the bottom of the first drop is only available in a single size. This causes the forces when making any sizable drop absolutely absurd, usually hitting 5 or 6 positive Gs. I still don't understand why they didn't allow you to scale and change the size of the bottom of the drop so the forces didn't go nuts. This is mainly a problem with the log flume, but Rapids have a similar issue, just to a lesser extent. Just a little bit of reshaping on these elements, and they would be perfect. That's all I got for this video. I personally love playing a coaster. It's one of my favorite games ever, and the game I've played more than anything else other than maybe Minecraft. I have really high hopes for Planet Coaster 2, and from what we've seen so far, I have no doubt that Frontier will deliver on what the community has been wanting for years. But I'm curious, what do you want to see from Planet Coaster 2? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if I get enough comments, then I might make a part 2 using comments I'll get on this video. Oh, and while you're down there, why don't you hit that subscribe button? It goes rainbow when I say it. It's free, and you can undo it whenever you want. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.